Alright, let's dive right in. Today, we're jumping headfirst into the world of JavaScript. No boring theory, I promise. We're going straight to the code to see what really makes the web tick. You know when you're on a website and you click a button, or you see live updates, or maybe even play a game right there in your browser? Ever wonder how all that works? Well, that interactivity, that feeling, it's not magic. It's code.
And more often than not, the answer is a language called JavaScript. My promise to you is that in just the next few minutes, you are going to write a useful, working program all by yourself.
So where do we start? You might be thinking you need to go install a bunch of special software, but here's the best part. You already have everything you need, right now.
Go ahead and open your favorite web browser. Chrome, Firefox, it doesn't matter. Now right-click anywhere on the page and look for an option that says Inspect. A new panel is going to pop up. In that panel, just find and click on the tab that says Console. And just like that, you're in. This console is basically a live playground for JavaScript. You can type commands right into it. Let's try something super simple. Type 2 + 2 and just hit Enter. Boom! The console immediately spits out the answer, 4. Congratulations, you have officially executed your first line of JavaScript. See? It really is that easy to start. Now, the console is fantastic for quick tests and messing around. But for a real project, we need a more organized space. Think of it like a proper workshop. And that just means creating a couple of simple files.
We're going to need 2 files. First, an index.html file. Think of this as the skeleton of your web page. It gives it all its structure. Then we need a script.js file. This is the brain. This is where all the logic and interactivity lives.
So how do we connect the skeleton to the brain? Well, it's actually done with just one single line of code inside your HTML file. This little script tag is basically telling the web page, hey, go find that file called script.js and run all the code you find inside. And that's it. They're linked.
Okay, our workshop is all set up. Now we just need to learn about a few fundamental building blocks. These are the core tools we're going to use to build our very first project.
First up, variables. So, how do we remember information in our code? We use variables, and the easiest way to think of a variable is just as a labeled storage box. We can create a box, give it a name, and then put some information inside it to use later on.
So what kind of information can we put in these boxes? Well, there are a few main types. A string is just text, like a name or a sentence. A number is, any numerical value, like an age or a price. And a Boolean is just a simple true or false value. Think of it like an on-off switch.
Now, what's really cool is that JavaScript has built-in commands to interact with the user. One of the simplest is called prompting. When your code runs this command, a little pop-up box appears asking the user to type something in. It's a super easy way to get information for our program. And finally, we have our tools to actually work with all this data. We've got arithmetic operators for doing math, comparison operators for asking questions like, is this number bigger than that one? And logical operators for combining different conditions. These are pretty much the verbs of our new language.
All right, theory time is over. Let's put these building blocks together and create something real. A simple converter that takes a distance in miles and tells you exactly what it is in kilometers.
You know, the most important part of coding is thinking through the logic first. What's our plan? It's a simple 4-step process. First, we'll ask the user for a number. Second, we'll store that number in one of our variable boxes. Third, we'll do the math to convert it. And finally, we'll show the result back to the user.
To do our conversion, we need one key piece of information, the conversion factor. It turns out that 1 mile is equal to about 1.60934 kilometers. This number right here is the heart of our entire calculation.
Now let's translate our plan into code. And you can see how perfectly it matches our logic. The first line uses prompt to ask the user for a number, and then stores it in a variable called miles. The second line creates a new variable, kilometers, by multiplying the miles by our conversion factor. And the third line, it just displays the final result in the console. That's it. That's the entire program.
So, if you run this code and type in the number 1 when it asks, it'll do the math and display the answer right there in the console. 1.60934. It works! Okay, let's just take a step back and appreciate what you've just accomplished, because it's actually pretty impressive.
In less than 5 minutes, you have seriously gone from zero to programmer. You've run code, you've set up a real project structure, you've stored and manipulated data with variables, and you built a real working application. That is a massive first step.
The best way to learn is by doing. So are you ready for your next challenge?
Take the concepts you've just learned, asking for input, storing it in variables, and doing some simple math, and try building a body mass index, or BMI calculator. The journey has just begun.